we're not going to start this story at the beginning of a vacation. No, we're starting at the exact moment that holiday turned into an absolute nightmare. It all started with a single, terrified cry, a cry that would kick off one of the most famous and frustrating missing person cases of our time.
Those 3 words. They took her. That was the frantic scream from Kate McCann on the night of May 3rd, 2007. Just imagine that for a second. That cry just rips through the quiet night air of a peaceful Portuguese resort town, and in an instant, a family vacation becomes this massive international mystery, one that, as you know, we're still talking about today.
So let's back up for a second. A holiday in the sun, Praia da Luz, Portugal. Because just days before that scream, everything was, well, perfect. It was the picture of a happy family holiday. You had the McCanns, their 3 little kids, a group of their friends, all just enjoying the sun at the Ocean Club Resort. It was exactly what you'd imagine an idyllic vacation to be.
And they had a little system going, a routine. The kids would be asleep in the ground floor apartment, and the parents would be having dinner with their friends at the resort's restaurant. And look, it was right there, only about 160 feet away. They could practically see the apartment. They'd take turns popping back to check on the children every 30 minutes or so. They'd been doing it all week, and everything was totally fine.
All right, the moment a nightmare began. The night of May 3rd, 2007. This is where that comfortable routine just gets blown to pieces. Let's walk through the timeline of events, and you'll see just how fast a normal evening can spiral into complete chaos.
Okay, so at 9:05 p.m., it's Jerry McCann's turn to check. He goes in, sees all 3 kids sleeping soundly. Everything's good. Around 9:30, a family friend is passing by, listens at the door, hears some soft noises but assumes it's nothing, so doesn't go in. Then, 10 o'clock p.m., it's Kate McCann's turn. She goes for her check, and that's when she finds it. The window is open, and Madeleine's bed is empty.
And what happens next is just pure, understandable panic. But it's also an investigative disaster. Friends, resort staff, other guests, everybody floods into the apartment trying to help, trying to search. But in that chaos, the crime scene is completely destroyed. Think about it. Any potential fingerprints, any stray fibers, any foreign DNA, it's all just trampled and contaminated by dozens of people. Those first few hours, what they call the golden hours of an investigation, they were gone, just lost.
So in all that confusion, were there any initial leads? With the physical evidence pretty much gone, the police had to turn to something way more unreliable. Eyewitnesses. What did people see in the darkness just before all hell broke loose? Shadows in the night. The first crucial witness sightings. As word gets out, people start coming forward. They start talking about strange things they saw, mysterious figures in the dark. And each new account just adds another confusing piece to this already impossible puzzle. So, the first big one comes from Jane Tanner, one of the friends dining with the McCanns. She says at around 9:15 p.m., she saw a man walking, carrying a sleeping kid, and the kid was just in PJs, barefoot. Now get this, this is only 10 minutes after Jerry had just checked and seen Madeleine sleeping safe in her bed. That's a really tight window. Okay, but then there's another one. An Irish couple comes forward. They say that around 10 p.m., right when Kate is discovering Madeleine is gone, they saw a man with a little girl in his arms. The problem? This was a few miles away from the apartment. So it kind of sounds similar, but the timing and location are off.
And when you put these sightings side by side, you can really see the headache this created for the police. Look at this. You've got Jane Tanner sighting around 9:15, right near the apartment. Then you have the Irish couple sighting around 10 o'clock, miles away. Are we talking about the same person? Or are these just 2 completely separate weird coincidences? It's just confusing right from the start.
So, with these conflicting sightings not really leading anywhere concrete, the police had to ask themselves, could there be a suspect much closer to home? And their focus quickly shifted to a man who seemed just a little too involved in the search effort.
The first suspects. An investigation leads to a neighbor. Right, so enter Robert Murat. He's a 33-year-old British guy who literally lived just about 650 feet away from the McCann's apartment. And pretty quickly, he becomes the first official suspect in the case.
The police really went after this lead. They searched his place, they dug through his phone records, they even found a weird late-night call he made to a computer engineer. But after looking at both of them really closely, there was just nothing. No concrete evidence at all to tie them to the crime. So that lead just fizzled out. Another dead end.
So, with the first suspects cleared and no solid leads from the outside, where could the police possibly look next? Well, they were running out of options, and they made a decision that was, and still is, incredibly controversial. They turned the investigation 360 degrees and started looking at the very people at the heart of it all.
The investigation turns inward, a new, uncomfortable focus. Yeah, the investigators started looking at Kate and Jerry McCann themselves. Every little thing they did, every statement they made, was suddenly put under a microscope. The parents, the victims, were now suspects, and the police began to build a totally different theory of what happened that night.
And this was one of the big questions that just didn't sit right with the police. Why didn't the twins wake up? I mean, think about it. Madeleine is in the same room as her two little siblings. The theory is that an intruder comes in, opens the window, and takes a child, and the two toddlers just sleep right through all of that? It seemed unlikely, to say the least.
So a few things started to line up that made the police suspicious. First off, leaving young kids alone like that is actually considered a crime of neglect in Portugal. So that's strike one in their eyes. Then, this was the bombshell. They brought in specialized cadaver dogs from the UK, and these dogs alerted in the family's rental car. Now, they did find some DNA samples in the car, but when they sent them to be tested, the results came back inconclusive. But you add all that up, plus the theory that maybe a sleeping aid had been used on the kids, and the police started exploring this truly unthinkable idea. What if there was an accident, and the kidnapping story was a cover-up?
So here's where we're at. The investigation is completely split down the middle, going down two totally different paths. On one hand, you have the kidnapping by a stranger. You've got the witness sightings, the open window. It makes a certain kind of sense. But on the other hand, you have this theory of an accidental death and a cover-up. And that's backed by the parents leaving the kids alone, the cadaver dog alerts, the fact the twins didn't wake up. The problem? Neither theory has a smoking gun. Both have huge holes.
An unsolved mystery. Years of theories, but no answers. And that's really the story of this case. Years go by. The trail gets colder and colder. The whole world is watching. Millions of dollars are poured into the investigation, but still, no real answers.
Now, one theory that has always lingered in the background is human trafficking. It's a horrible thought, but it was considered a real possibility early on. I mean, Portugal's location, so close to Spain and Morocco, makes it a potential route. It's a theory that has never really gone away.
And that brings us to this, 0. It's such a stark, simple number, but it says everything. After all these years, all the suspects, all the theories, all the headlines, 0 is the number of people who have ever been officially charged with the disappearance of Madeleine McCann.
And that's not for a lack of trying. The case is still officially open, both in Portugal and over in the UK. The files are still on someone's desk. They're still hoping, waiting for that one new tip, that one piece of information that could finally crack this thing wide open. So after all of this, all the years, all the theories, all the dead ends, what is the one question that still remains? Well, it's the exact same question that Kate McCann screamed into the darkness back in 2007, a question that still hangs over everything, totally unanswered. Where is Madeleine?